Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another weekly episode of Everything Vaguely Paranormal. As always, I am Blake Smith, and with me are my partners in the paranormal, Miss Shelley Pruitt, Mr. Ryan Roberts. How are y'all doing?
Super good. I'm
Yeah,
surprised
super
we survived
excited.
the weekend. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. Go hear about our investigation over the weekend.
Yeah, what an investigation it was. Good Lord.
It was a crazy one.
Yes.
So tonight I'm excited about our guest because I will go ahead and kick this off and say that I got a personal reading from our guest while we were in St. Joseph, Missouri at Spirit Con this weekend. And oh my gosh, my jaw hit the table about 18,000 times throughout the whole thing. I went back home and told everybody about it. And I was like, you're never going to believe what happened. You're never going to believe what she said. So whenever Shelley was like, I'm looking for a guest for this week. And I was like, we need Kris.
And I'm
need
like,
to get her.
I will do it right now to make sure that we get her. And she was kind enough to agree to be here with us.
That's
Much
right.
to her chagrin, I'm sure.
I know this poor woman had the misfortune of being directly across from us at Spirit Con in St. Joseph. So.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go ahead and bring her on because I absolutely am fascinated by everything she's going to bring to the show tonight. Shelley's got a ton of questions for her. You are so intrigued by this, so you are ready. She is an intuitive psychic medium. She is a Reiki master. She is just recently, she just told us, an angelic healing practitioner. And we just dubbed her the Sexy Witch of Missouri. So we are going to bring to the stage Kris Baughman, y'all.
Hi,
How
Kris.
are you doing, Kris?
Hello, I am well. How are you guys?
You
We
are
doing
the
wonderful.
Sexy Witch of Missouri. Yes, you are. You just own that shit.
I got it.
Yes, I know you do.
We're so glad to have you on because, like, when I just said the intro, when Shelley was like, "We need a guest," and I was like, "Kris, we need Kris. We have to get her." So, because I was super blown away by everything that you were doing at Spirit Con and watching your interaction with everybody, and I was like, she would be excellent to have on for our people. Our people would love her. So,
and y'all, her table stayed full. There were people waiting to get a reading from Kris, and she had this brief moment. I think you were trying to get some food. Blake goes, "She's got a spot. I've got to go."
I was like,
"Oh yeah, that was the bathroom moment." Yeah. We were both like, "I need a bathroom break."
Yeah.
You're gonna just sit down. I'll be there in a second. Yeah. That really was, I think, my first big break that I had in the day. Yeah.
And Blake went running.
And I went running for it. Yeah, I was like, "Hey, I know you gotta go use the bathroom and stuff, but I would love to sit down with you. Hit me when you get back."
Blake's like, "I'll be right here. Here. I'm not gonna move."
And I'm all about exactly. I'm all about have a seat, hang out. I will be right back. Kind of like, don't worry about it. If you're there, the spot's yours. So yeah.
So tell our viewers and us as well kind of a brief overview of every. I gave so many things. Angelic healing practitioner, Reiki master. Tell us what all is it that you do? How did you get into all of this?
Wow. Here's the origin
story. It's a loaded question,
yes,
I know.
The origin story. Here we go.
Yes. And I literally just a couple days ago watched your origin story. That was an awesome podcast. No, that was fabulous. I'm like, wow, that is like really cool. But mine, I don't know how grand it is or anything, but I remember as far back as I could remember that I could see, which I didn't know at the time, we'd call them spirits. I just saw these people who weren't quite as solid as the rest of us. And this is where I lived. So this is the house that I grew up outside in the yard. And nobody really believed me, like, oh, there's no such thing as ghosts. And I think what really kind of brought everything home for my parents was when I described the man that I was seeing, and they looked at each other, and I imagine their faces got really, really white, like, oh, what? And it turned out to be my grandfather, my dad's father, who I didn't know because he passed away a year before I was born. And there were really no pictures of him that I can recall in my grandmother's house. And I just described what he looked like. And I can always say that if you imagine the silhouette of Alfred Hitchcock, so kind of bald and a little rotund, but kind of tall, that's who I saw with a little more detail. And literally that figure walked from an area where we had an old work shed that he used to work at into the back door of my grandmother's house. And she just lived right across the yard from us. We were neighbors right beside each other. So he just disappeared into the back of the house. And this was a routine in the evenings. Like he was getting done with his daily work out in the shed and going into the house. And when I described who he was, just that's when they realized, oh my gosh, she actually does see something.
Wow.
That's kind of how it all started.
So did he acknowledge you, or he just seemed to be going about his business?
I think it was just residual. I didn't really get any acknowledgement. There was no let me turn and look at you kind of thing. It was just follow the path. And it's just kind of a regular deal with that. And I just kind of thought everybody saw them. I didn't realize that I was really the only one so much at that time.
It didn't really scare you or anything whenever you saw them?
No, I didn't really have a reason to be scared. I'm like, oh, hey, I see somebody walking. Like, well, what's that? So yeah, nothing that really frightened me. Now I can say that there had been times since that point that there were things that were kind of disturbing to me in my bedroom where I slept, and not a big deal, I guess. But for somebody who's probably 5 or 6 years old, you see two figures kind of pop up between the bed and the wall. There was a one of the rooms was big enough there's three of us, three sisters. So two of us would share a room. The other one would get their own room. And the room that we shared, I would always notice that between the twin bed and the wall, there's probably 3 feet of space, that sometimes in the evening they were human figures. There were people, and they would pop up and stand there, and kind of scared the bejesus out of me with that. And then my younger sister, and something that I didn't realize until we were way into adulthood, and we were having conversations about some interesting occurrences that happened in that house and still happen there. She said, did you ever remember seeing a figure kind of at the end of the hallway, which would be from that same bedroom, just looking straight down the hallway into the dining room? And I'm like, oh my God, yes, you are not wrong. We don't know what it was. Neither of us really pursued anything other than it really kind of scared the shit out of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that.
So your sister and you both share this gift.
Well, it's interesting because she looks at me and she goes, oh, I got nothing. But I think she's pretty intuitive. She's my younger sister, and I feel like she is really connected and very intuitive. My older sister, who is just about 13 and a half months older than me, she also has some gifts as well. She can sense energy, among a few other things. So it's very interesting. So I'm very sure it's inherited. We were kind of trying to figure out like what side of the family. I think mainly my dad's side of the family. But my grandmother was born in 1904. So she passed away 1998-ish, I think. Mm-hmm. So she grew up in a time where if she did have any gifts, any sensitivities, that would have been in the asylum, basically, Yeah, like that doesn't happen.
That would have been a no-go back then, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. So at this point, I can't really say where it came from. Mm-hmm. Pretty certain it was not my mom's side of the family, just from what I know. But yeah, beyond that, it's just really fascinating.
So
you had a damn coven up in your house.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I said, but back to the figure that you saw. Did you get the sense that it was trying to scare you? Did you get that sort of like vibe off of it, or were you just like it was just kind of there?
For me, I feel like it was just there, and it wasn't supposed to be there, and it was like a dark, I'd say dark shadow. Mm-hmm. Can't really say much more than that because I don't remember too much more than that. Yeah. But just knowing like, oh, hey, you're not supposed to be there and you're freaking us out.
So when was the first time one of these tried to communicate with you directly?
So that would have been, oh my gosh, I would say I was out of college, I think. So if somebody did try to communicate with me, I would have been kind of clueless, kind of late to the party on that. about, so I really didn't come into, other than, things happened and I just thought they happened to everybody ish. I really started working on paranormal gifts, I suppose you want to call them that. Oh gosh, I don't know, probably around college or so, and then a little more after college. So that's really when I started exploring, what was out there. I went to a Renaissance festival, and I had $20 in my pocket. Like I had to burn $20. That was my big thing I could spend at the time. And back then, $20 was a lot of money. Now it's like nothing.
Yeah.
And I went down the row of seers and readers, and there was astrologists and tarot readers, and there was a tarot reader who happened to be available at the moment. There was nobody there, so I walked in, handed over my $20, and never had a reading, didn't know what tarot was at all. And she had those big old giant cards that you see, like you're doing displays kind of thing. Anyway, she shuffled them, and the first card she put out, she went, oh, and it kind of freaked me out because I have no idea what to expect. Like, why are you gasping? What is going on? And she laid some more cards out, and she just stopped and she looked at me and she said, I don't know why you're here having a reading. You should be the one doing the reading. You should be doing this. It's not me. So as she continued with the reading for me, she indicated there'd be 4 or 5 different types of readings, different modalities that I could work with if I decided to take that on and to study and to practice. And hard to believe, but she was right. Fast forward to now, I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, she absolutely was right. So that was kind of my introduction to, there's more out there than me just seeing figures here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of different, now we saw that you had several different decks of I guess, are they all called tarot cards, or is it all the tarot card family? Because I believe you said something about an aura card, and then there were a couple others that you had. Can you tell me which different decks you work with? Because you got to be careful.
Sure.
Make sure I say decks. Yeah.
Yes.
Decks with an E. Yeah.
Pronounce.
Yes.
Yeah. Make sure you pronounce that E, Shelley.
And some are bigger than others.
Yes, that's what I've heard. Some decks are much thicker
Some
than
are
other
bigger
decks.
than others.
Yes.
So
I'm gonna steal a comment from the thread that says, "Hey, $20 is $20."
Right.
You get
Truth
the big
in
deck
that,
for
yeah.
$20.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, I got a bargain. That is awesome. So yeah, Shelley, to answer your question. So I work with tarot cards and oracle cards. So they are different. Tarot cards traditionally are a deck of 78, and it's divided into 2 sections, major and minor. And the major would be cards that represent bigger messages, like the sun, star, the moon, justice, judgment, things like that. And then the minor cards are divided into 4 suits, traditionally swords, pentacles, wands, and cups. So working with those, they really give a detailed story as you lay the spread out on the table. Many different ways that you can read tarot cards. You can read them literally. You could read them intuitively. I do it intuitively. I don't have that much formal training. I just do it, and I can do it, and it happens. But you can also study and read them very literally with the signs and the symbols and the colors. And when I teach tarot, I really teach, let's get to the basics and let's look at the cards and the signs and the symbols. What do you see? Sometimes things pop out for me, like 3D on a card. Even though the cards aren't 3D at all, something will pop out and that signals me, oh, hey, I've got a message about this. I need to talk about that. Then oracle cards, I call those the quick and dirty, because you can get a really good message with just 1 card or 2 cards, and they're very direct, and they vary widely. I grabbed a couple to bring with me while we were doing this interview. So I'm using a newer deck called the light. Ooh, so I dropped everything.
I'm leaning up like I can look over and see what she's doing. I'm like,
so I have light seers. This is one of my, I use a traditional Smith-Waite deck, and it's my 30-plus-year-old deck, and that poor thing is tired. It leaves blue ink on my hands. And I love it. I shuffle, and I'm like, all of a sudden I have blue everywhere at the end of a fair. So it's taking a rest right now. So I found this deck. There we go. Got to find my camera. Light Seers Tarot. It's a really good, it talks to me, talks very well. And I like it because it's very modern. I like that there's a Hanged Man. Let me flip it. Actually, there we go, the right way.
Wow, yeah.
And yeah, it's very bright, very modern. There's the one I wanted to show you. But it's got some really good illustrations in it, and I like it. It talks well. And then one of the newer Oracle decks that I brought is called The Beloved Dead. And this one I literally have only been working with maybe 8 weeks or so, and I really love it. It is very vintage.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's
that
cool.
is
Isn't that
gorgeous.
cool?
There we go.
I like that one.
Like super vintage. And the ladies who created this deck crowdsourced. So
cool.
a lot of these are photographs of people's relatives, and also some famous people in here. There's Abraham Lincoln in here. I think maybe Teddy Roosevelt as well. And then they digitally enhance them with wings and other little symbols and things. But these are great because they're really, here's ancestry. They're really great direct messages from your ancestors. And I like this deck because a lot of people want to connect. I do some mediumship as well. And they really want to connect with their loved ones. And this deck will really symbolically help me pull messages from them in order to deliver to their loved ones. So it's a really fun deck to work with.
And that one is called which one?
The Beloved Dead.
Beloved Dead.
It's an oracle deck. Yes.
Got it.
So the oracle deck is kind of like ties in with your mediumship. Then is what you're saying, to where it's like it's a way. Whereas tarot may be sending, you can do those with more of like a broad spectrum of what does this person need to know, kind of hidden messages of you. That's more of direct kind of your mediumship to messages from your ancestors is what you're saying. That's the difference, right?
And this deck particularly, but other oracle decks aren't necessarily connected to mediumship. Oracle decks can be empowerment messages, affirmations. They can be very specific. I have some Halloween oracle decks because Halloween is my favorite holiday.
It's all of our favorite holiday.
Yeah.
Yay! Woo!
Yeah.
And they're dragons, they're fairies, they're nature, animal. There's a million types of different oracle decks.
So do the tarot decks get more in depth versus the oracle decks? Because you said the oracle decks are kind of quick and dirty. So the oracle decks are more of like broad, and the tarot is more like detailed. Like, okay, this is, we're kind of getting down into the muck and the mire of everything, right?
I'm all about a quick and dirty dragon deck. That's what I'm talking about.
Of course.
I want a dragon deck. That's what I want.
The bad dragon deck.
The dirty one.
Right? Not the bad. Not the
There's probably one out there, actually.
There's only one.
I bet there's one out there.
No.
I'm sure there were all kinds.
I don't know how to read them. I just like to have them go look at my dragon deck. This is fun. Why not?
There's always a little book that explains everything.
I'm scared to touch those. So, because unlike Blake, I am terrified of getting readings. So, because I figured I just would rather be surprised like everybody else. So
I'm not, and actually, I'm gonna put this right here in this episode. I'm not. One of the things, Kris, when I got my personal reading from you, I just kind of want to thank you, not only for the amazing message that you were able to give me from your tarot deck and my ancestors as well, which was astounding. But you kind of got the wheels turning again for me to get back into tarot, because I had been into tarot years ago, and I put it down because I was kind of brought up in this thing. It was like, oh, what you're doing is the devil worship, da, 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 da. And we know now it's not, or I know now it's not, so it's been fun. I got mine out just in case. I was like, let me pull mine out to the side. So I just wanted to
Test
say
him, Kris.
thank you.
Test him.
No, don't test me yet. I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Put in the comments if you want her to test Blake.
Shelly's gonna get me in trouble. But because I also read the spirit dice too, I want to be able to kind of work them, kind of together if I can. So it's interesting to hear your take on tarot and oracle working together, and watching you do it. It's fascinating. So I just want to tell you thank you for that, for getting my interest back into it. It was fascinating.
You're welcome. And I'm going to say thank you for trusting me to do a reading. Here I am, a complete stranger, and you sat down with me, and I'm very grateful that you allowed me to tap into your ancestors and to read for you. I really enjoy doing that. And I love Shelly. I love reading for people who've never had a reading before. So if you ever think that you're ready to just jump in there and have a reading, holler at me.
I let one person read it one time because apparently she was pulling. She said, "I'm gonna let the cards decide," and she assigned each of us like pentacles, wands, swords, and cups. Right, those are your four. And then she turned over a card. Well, it was pentacles, so everybody who was a pentacle, they were still in. And then she assigned us all another one, so she pulled the next card. It was a wand. Okay, then that left like two of us, and I was the sword, and somebody else was the cup. She pulled the sword. She goes, "You get the reading." I go, "No, I don't want to play." And she goes, "No, I have to. The cards have spoken." Well, here I am. I don't want to be an asshole, so I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I don't know what the layout was, but she turns over the first card, and I don't know what that first card was, except it was a sword. And then she turns over the next one. Well, this one is you. And she turns over, and it's like the Empress. And I will, of course it is. Of course, Empress.
Why
she turns
not?
over the next one, it's another sword. She turns up the one above it, it's another sword. And turns up the next one, and it's another sword. And I went, "Are they all supposed to be the same?" She goes, "No." I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't know. I didn't really understand what she was telling me, but I just thought that was interesting. So I had an attempt made on my cards, but I didn't really perceive. I didn't understand what I was being told. So
other than the fortune teller that you saw the tarot card reader at the Renaissance Festival, what was it that drew you to cards as your chosen mean of divination? Was there anything else you kind of looked into beforehand, or how did that go?
No. Literally, she did the reading for me, and I thought, well, she's using tarot cards, and she said I would be able to work with tarot cards, so why not find a deck? I ordered some and literally just started looking through them. I did actually read the little book to see, and it didn't really help me too much. And for friends and family, I would put the cards out, and then I'd open the book and I'd flip through and I'd read through it. And then I'd, tell them, kind of a summary of what I read. And one day, one of my friends said, you really don't have to do that. And I'm not sure if that was a compliment or not.
So I would take it as a compliment.
I trusted that. Okay, let me just put this down. So I put the book down and shuffled, put the cards out there, and apparently I hit a home run. And from that point on, I thought, well, okay, I guess I can really do this. And I can honestly say I don't know how I get the information. It's like a multimedia experience happening up here. Like I see pictures, I get symbols, I hear people talking sometimes. Some things, like I mentioned, they pop out on the cards like they're 3D. And when I prepare for a session, I always say, don't put anything of Kris into the reading. This is completely channeled from my spirit team, the client's spirit team. So that can be ancestors, spirit guides, angels, guardian angels, animal totems. Like if they all want to show up, they show up. And so I'm very good at boundaries. I set very specific boundaries for when I do readings. And if you're not a part of somebody's tribe, you don't get in. That's kind of how I work. If you're negative, low vibration, no, you're not welcome. It doesn't happen. You cannot get into the reading. So I really try to be very careful about that, because I tend to be a magnet. I tend to attract things. I think we all do when we work in this field in some fashion. So that's, Ryan, to kind of answer, long way around to answer your question. It's like, no, but then after I started working with tarot, then I looked at, well, what are the other things I could look at? Pendulums, worked with crystals. I have dowsing rods, but those, I'm not sure about those yet, because when I hold them, they just spin.
Me too. They want to hit me.
Yep.
They have no control. And I was talking with a gentleman at the last fair that I worked in Benton, Arkansas, and he said, well, you have to train them like you train a pendulum. And I'm like, really?
Who has time for that?
Didn't think about that. So he said, literally, just ask them to show you what yes is. Generally, they cross for yes. And then ask them to show you what no is, and say thank you after each one. And he said, literally, when you hold a pendulum, you ask it, show me yes. So is it going to go side to side, front to back, or spin? That kind of thing. So you do the same thing with the spirit rods that you would with a pendulum. I have not tried that yet. But now that I have that piece of information, I'm like, well, maybe that would kind of, I feel kind of like a failure, and we shouldn't feel like a failure when we try things that don't work. Because I always tell people, I always tell people, if you try it and it doesn't work, put it down. Don't feel like you have to keep pushing at it. If it doesn't feel right for you, or it just doesn't resonate, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So,
I'll be honest. I've done dowsing rods several times, and I can't get them to, do it. I just can't make them work. I'm
not going to pick up something that's going to abuse me. All it does is hit me. It's like, and I'm going, put them down.
Shelley, you're supposed to hold them a little bit further away. Don't hold them really close.
It doesn't matter if they got that long thing on them that spins, and then I'm just stuck in.
Well, that's how you just put them out here. I remember one time I had them, and
I'm a short person.
And like I was saying, they never worked for me, all that stuff. And I was leading a group, and I remember holding them out, and I was like, by the way, these things never work for me, but I'm going to show you how you're supposed to do them. And I just go, can you show me my yes? And immediately and I was like, oh, now you're going to work for me. Yeah.
So you were talking something about setting boundaries so that nothing of you got into the reading. So do you read for other people on days that you might yourself be having an off day or a bad day, or maybe not the kind of day where your vibration is where you want it to be? Do you do readings on that day, or are you real good at kind of putting that aside and going, okay, we're going to focus on this now?
I kind of go back to my teaching career. I started out teaching high school, and then I worked at the university level, not as a teacher, but in a library. And then when I came back into public ed, I was K-5. And you see all those people every day. So maybe 400 kids and 40 or 50 adults. And you have to shut it down. I mean, you have to. And I think I learned really fast that it was really important to make sure that I had control of turning it on and turning it off. And I'll tell a story on me when I was first starting out. I literally was at work, and I happened to see two young ladies across the space from me, and it literally just hit me. Holy shit, that one is going to be pregnant before she's 16. That one's going to be dropping out of high school. She's not even going to make it to graduation. And I hate to even think that. And then literally like, oh crap, I just close it down, Kris. What are you doing? And I will say, unfortunately, those internal predictions did come true. I knew both of those ladies through their school careers, and both of those experienced the thing that I had foreseen for them.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's kind of shitty. I don't think that's okay. And then another time I worked with the State School Librarian Association, a big professional organization for Missouri. And I was at one of the state conferences where we probably have 700 or 800 people. And my friend looked at me and she goes, hey, what are you picking up? And I opened the door, and there's like 700 people. I'm like, bombarded. I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. That was dumb. Like, that was really, really stupid in the moment. Like, we can't do this. So I think I learned from those little moments, like, you know what, Kris, you have to have control, and you really have to make sure that you I set boundaries everywhere that I live. Because I don't want to be disturbed at night. I don't want anybody poking at me and standing at the foot of my bed or trying to get my attention or messing with my bed covers. So I always say, this is my space. And I used to be the dragon lady when I taught high school, so I'm really good about being very direct. This is my space, and these are the rules, and you are welcome to contact me when I am awake during the daytime. But when I hit the hay, this is my space. My body needs to rest, and I need to rejuvenate, and you have no part in that. So, unless it's a relative visitation, that's fine. But I don't want anybody else popping in and messing with me. That is so not okay.
So what do you do to turn it on and off? I mean, because like me, I run away from everybody. If I'm overwhelmed, and I get overwhelmed a lot, and I throw everything out there, but I run away, and then I come back and then I'm fine. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I got to run away again.
For me, I just set the intention, because I believe intention is so, so powerful, that if you set your intention and you believe that that is the intention, you can't go wrong. So that's worked. I mean, it may work differently for other people. I do tend to make sure that I stay grounded. That's very important for me. I don't like to be disconnected. I don't like to be kind of scattered and out there. I really like to be focused. I really like to be connected in. So I do make sure that I stay grounded. And I think that's one thing that helps me as well. So I'm not out there flying in la la land, which is great when you have a Reiki treatment. It's like, oh, I feel so great. I'm out there floating around. But I really like, in my daily life to stay very connected and very grounded. And I know you asked the question about if I'm having a rough day or something, do I do readings? So far, I've been very, very fortunate that I have not had any off days, so to speak. And I do my own little ritual before I do a reading. So I say a little prayer to God and Goddess. I like to include everybody. And I always welcome in my spirit team, and then the other clients, the client's spirit team as well. And then I always make sure I set that boundary of nothing that is negative is welcome in the session, and that anything that comes through me is meant only for the client to hear. And it will be something that comes from spirit, does not come from Kris. So Kris has no part in that. And one of the most interesting things I think about me as a reader is that I don't really remember readings. I might remember a highlight or two, but I always feel like I'm Vegas. What we talk about stays, wherever it goes, because it doesn't say, I don't repeat it because I can't remember it. It's like amnesia almost.
Yeah, because we spoke to a wonderful lady named Diet Renee, and she said the same thing, that when she's done with the reading, she doesn't really remember it, as she put it, because it's none of her business. It was meant for that person. So that's interesting to hear that it works the same for you as well. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very cool.
I think it is kind of interesting because just my perspective, add on to what you were saying, been practicing with this tarot deck that I have and trying to get back in tune with and stuff. And so I've done a reading here or there for friends and stuff like that. I don't really remember them either. And that's the interesting part. It's like I will tell them something. I even had one that she was like, wow, that is insane and resonates really well. And I told her, I said, none of my business. You don't have to share anything with me. You don't even have to. And we're good friends. I was like, you don't even have to tell me anything that connects. But it's like now thinking back on where I'm just a couple of days past that, and I'm like, I don't remember anything that I said to her.
An hour after I'm done, I'm like, yeah. And people will come back for a repeat, another reading, a follow-up, if you will, and they'll say, well, the last reading I had, you said this and we talked about that, and I just smile and say, okay, all right, yeah. Okay, great, because I don't, and I don't ask for any backstory. I don't want people to tell me their history or anything about what they want to know. I'm very much, I read very well for complete strangers. I don't know them. And I also find that some people might start to give me the backstory, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to stop you there. And if it's okay, I'm going to go ahead and start shuffling, and let's see what we get. But I do like to either have a topic or a question, so they can tell me their topic or ask me a question. Or I always give an option, do you want to go with what Spirit wants you to know? Whatever's important for you today, we can do that also. And sometimes people call that a general, I suppose. A lot of times after that, then that will really spark some things that people want to take a look at. And I always tell them, there's nothing taboo. You could ask me anything. Nothing is off the table. Other than I get the question sometimes, am I going to have a long, healthy life? Or when is a certain person going to die, pass away? Or when am I going to die? And I literally answer that with, that's not my information to share with you, because I don't know. When you ask me that question, it's literally like a curtain just goes right in front of me and just closes. And I have nothing. I have no information. I can't answer that, because I'm not meant to have that information.
Yeah.
And some people are kind of taken aback. I'm like, honestly, I can't tell you. I don't know. So, we would like to think that we all have long and healthy lives,
Right.
But beyond that, I can't tell you that. I don't know. And I'm very honest about, if somebody asks me something and I don't get any information, I'm the first one to say, I'm sorry, I don't have anything on that or about that. And I'm also the first person to say, if you're not satisfied with your reading, especially in the professional realm, you don't have to pay me for that reading. That is totally fine, because I would rather have you walk away not feeling like you wasted your money with me, because sometimes money is a very precious thing. We don't always have a lot of it. Like to think that we do. I shouldn't talk that way. But I find that, people, that money is something that they could be spending on other things. So if they really feel like that it did not connect, and they do not have to pay me for the reading, because I'm here to be of service to people, and to work for people's greatest, their greatest good, their highest good. And I had one gentleman walk up to me at a fair. This was way back when I first started, and he plunked his money on the table, and he just looked at me and he smirked. He said, "So, am I going to get divorced?" And I looked right at him and I said, "Well, you already know the answer to that question, so I'm not sure why you're asking me." And you give him a little bit of sass and smirk back. And he looked at me and he goes, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, you wouldn't be asking that question if you didn't already know the answer." And he said, "Fair enough, you're right." And he sat down for a reading.
Wait, you should have taken
All
that.
right.
And I said, "No, that'll be another $50 for your reading." That was when he
Since I passed the test,
Yeah.
ante up.
That's right.
Baby.
That's right. Don't ever let him get away with that, Kris.
So you being an educator and doing this type of work, have you ever had a crossover where like a student has come up to you like at a fair and you've been like, "Oh crap," or like an administrator or anything?
So I kind of kept it on the down low. So, something that you don't share with maybe my best friend at work, or, a few colleagues, but nobody really knew that I did readings. And then the closer I got to retirement, the less I had to worry about not sharing that information. And now that I'm retired out, I actually celebrated 2 years, July 1st.
Congratulations.
I know. So I get to do this. I don't have to. And before, I didn't use readings with Kris. I used like Autumn's Glow Tarot or something like that. So people couldn't really connect me to the name unless they dug around. But I have had some former students sit down with me for readings. And a couple of the young ladies, last people I ever thought would sit down for a reading. And one lady and her mom actually happened to be at a psychic fair, and they're like, "Oh my God, Miss Baughman, we know you." I'm like, "Hi, I know you."
Hello.
Like, "How are you?" And they both sit down for readings. So I really think it's very cool when I have people, that I know from my previous life. I will say that, my previous career, come and sit with me for a reading. I think that's really, really awesome.
So I want to back up on one of the things that you had said. I got this explained to me when I sat down with you, because I asked the question, but I want you to explain kind of for Ryan and Shelly and our viewers and listeners. You keep saying your spirit team. So what is that? What does it consist of for each person, or is it different for each person?
It can be different for each person. For me, I have, and this took, meditation time, asking questions out to the universe, listening quietly for an answer, watching for signs, confirmation, things like that. So it's not necessarily something that happens just like that. So for me, my spirit team started out, the first awareness I had was my grandmother on my dad's side. She actually came through and helped me with readings when I first started, and she still hangs around and still helps periodically. I had another spirit guide that I don't remember that I ever got a name, but she seemed to be the guide, and she still does this. She gives me puzzle pieces, like it's like dropping breadcrumbs in the forest in the fairy tale. Like she drops a puzzle piece, and I'm stuck with this, this glob of puzzle pieces, and I have to put them together and disseminate that information and share with the client. And I can't remember. I don't think I ever got a name for her. And sometimes guides don't really go by a name because they don't feel like it's important that they have to be identified with a name. I think there's a human thing that we want to assign a name or a label to something. Also, Archangel Michael is my guardian angel, which is like totally badass. Because I tend, and I've gotten this from readings from other professionals, that I tend to have a lovely giant group of angels that hang out with me along with Archangel Michael, and they're always about 10 steps ahead of me, so they hit it before I get it, basically. So interesting things that may have happened that probably weren't going to be very good for me, it's like filtered before it gets to me. So I think that's amazing that I have that going for me. And then we also have some animal totems in there for me. So I have an owl, I have a polar bear, which is really cool.
That is cool.
It's really cool because I'll tell you, I swear to God, I'm hot all the time. And think about polar bears have all that fur. I'm like, they got to be hot and insulated, And I'm like, oh, good God, if I don't sweat, that'd be great, But so it's really fascinating that people have different relatives who pop in. Some guides are with us for our entire life. Some guides are with us just for a short time, maybe to help us through a period in our life that we need help with. So it's really amazing how everybody has a different team. I just call it spirit team. Yeah. I'm sure there are other names, that people would call them. But that just seems to be something that people can identify with. And then a lot of people will ask me, okay, well, who do you see around me? So if I focus in, I can literally take a look around them at their energy, and I can see angels that they pop in with them. I can see people, and sometimes I don't get a name, but I'll describe what I see. And a lot of times people say, oh my gosh, I know who that is, or I'll get characteristics. I think, Blake, that happened with you. I got characteristics.
Yep.
Then you're like, holy shit, I know who that is. Yep. And I don't know how I get it. I just get it. And I will see energy. I'll see animal totems that are around the person as well. And it's just amazing how it works. It's fascinating how it works. Yeah.
I'll say that I'll kind of touch on what you were saying. I know I don't want to divulge too much about my reading because it was very personal and stuff like that, but I will go into that portion of it that, yeah, you hit on characteristics that ended up being my great-great-grandmother. And I mean, you hit on I'll say this is what sold me in the moment of all of this, that I was like, this was the moment my jaw hit the table the most. It was the fact that how you described her. And you said, I want to talk about this lady that is over, and you pointed over my right shoulder, and you said, I said, I'm getting Native American, or you said, I'm getting Native American, putting her on the level of a great-great-grandmother. I see her as one of two ways. She says, you said, I see you're very older with wrinkles, or young and very beautiful. And I think I told you after the reading was done, I said, the crazier part is that I do genealogy for my family, and the only pictures that I have of my great-great-grandmother that is Native American, the only one that is Native American, is she is either old with wrinkles or young and beautiful. I have nothing in between. And you said those are the only two ways that I see her. And I was like, holy shit. And then you flipped the next card and you were like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, what? And you said one of your spirit guides is she-wolf. And I was like, oh, and then I think we ended up connecting the fact that you were like, no, wait, this is her. She is an ancestor, but also a spirit guy. Anyways, it was It was fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, he left your table and he's like, girl. I'm like,
he said, I ain't never gonna believe this shit.
I've actually
Right.
I have actually called up on her because you said do not be afraid to call up on her and you're helping what you do. And I have actually called up on her and called her out by name in the middle of a spirit die session when I was getting bombarded by this kind of nastier negative person. And I called up on her to hold him back. The moment I did that was the moment I started receiving direct messages from the spirit I was trying to talk to.
yeah,
And he kept trying to come back
call on
in.
her.
Yeah, he kept trying to come back in. And I said, just a little longer, holding back just a little longer. I've almost got the answer. And he kept that other spirit I was trying to communicate came through. And then when I said, okay, I'm done, I threw the next dice, or the next roll of dice. And I have this on tape. It says, fuck off in the dice. And my light on my camera dies.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I was like, all right, we're done. We're closing this down. I finished. I got the answers that I have that on tape. I thought it was absolutely mind-blowing when that happened.
No kidding. Truth in that.
Yeah.
I have to go back because Kris, and if you're a Patreon member, we did talk about what Kris had told us after the St. Joe Paracon about how we had talked to Kris. And Kris, we've already talked about you on Patreon. And we
really?
were laughing because we were standing there and, we were talking to you and you were kind of explaining a few things to us. And I think it was Blake who kind of said, yeah, you said there's people around us and you specifically said to him, well, you have too. And Ryan goes, well, what about me? And you go, you don't have anybody with you right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm laughing and I said, all right, I'm game. And you were like, you said, I would not step to you. You have got this badass like army behind you. She goes, I would not step to you. And I went, of course I do. I'm like, whatever.
Well, and it's funny you say that because that was the question I was about to ask. Do you come across people a lot that don't have a spirit team around them that you can see or feel?
On occasion, yes. And
okay.
I like to say they just left them at home. They have them. They're just not traveling with them. Mm-hmm. And, maybe they were in cloaking mode or something.
Right.
Cloaked. But yeah, there are occasions where people will say, I swear I've got somebody with me. And I'll look at them and I'll say, well, not right now. I don't see them, but that doesn't mean they're not there, in some fashion. And another person may walk up and go, oh my God, there they are. They're right there. So it's really interesting. I think, Ryan, you just left him at home.
No, Brian's sitting over in the
left
corner.
Him back in the car.
He was borrowing a couple of mine.
I'm going to say, poor Ryan's in the hotel room over in the corner after me and Shelly are having this amazing moment. And he's like, all by myself.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right.
That's what I said. I said, hey, mine said yours can take the night off. They got you.
That's what friends are for, right?
That's
exactly.
Right. But I just started laughing because you were like, I would not step to you. And I was like,
right.
All right.
Yeah, because you go, but you.
Like, Shelly, you're very protected.
Child, I must be, because there's been way too many things I've gotten through that I never should have gotten through. Way too many things I should have never walked out of. So, thank you
to your spirit team. Exactly.
Right.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry. I know you're tired.
They're pouring a drink right now.
I hope that they enjoyed it. Yes,
Shelley's,
I'll pour one for you later.
Shelley's are the ones that are like sitting in the corner and they're like, fuck.
Sorry, I just snorted there.
That's okay.
They're like, here she goes again. I tried to disconnect the battery from her car. She fixed it. She's gone. I can't help it. I failed.
You can't stop her.
They're like tag teaming in like wrestling. It's like, dude, you're up. I can't. I'm tired.
That's how Shelly's spirit team.
Kris is like, I'm seeing several bedraggled angels around you.
Their wings are they're crinkled, and the feathers are kind of falling apart.
And this one over here, he's just crying like in the corner. Yeah. He's just over there going, oh God, please beside me.
It's just like, I don't know. I'm just seeing like tears and mascara running. And she's like, I don't know.
Cigarette hanging out of the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tack in their hand.
Yeah, she doesn't have guardian angels. She's got exhausted pigeons at this point.
I do.
That's about it.
Lots of them. I am quite sure. So I have another question, which kind of I'm kind of going to switch a little bit of gear. Okay. What do you do if someone is sat down in front of you and you're giving them a reading, and the question they're asking is, again, perhaps difficult. Let's just say difficult. It's not going to be a reading that is going to make them happy. It might be some form of more negative news than positive. How do you deliver that? Because I think I'd be like, here, reshuffle. I just can't be right. Reshuffle. How do you deal with that?
My philosophy is I don't sugarcoat. I'm very pragmatic, very practical, and I say that up front, especially people who have not had a reading with me. And I'll say, I don't do doom and gloom by any means, but I'm going to give it to you straight. And here's the story. So I was reading for a lady during haunted season. I work in Atchison, Kansas. And
nice.
Love Atchison. And I do readings on the weekend, and people will come in, and this lovely young lady sat down with me, and she wanted to connect to her late husband. And I'm going to peg her age to be maybe in her 30s. So it really seemed kind of odd, that her husband, in my mind, like, wow, really young for somebody to have passed. And she just really wanted to connect in to find out that for her peace of mind, is he okay? And so I opened the session, and I reached out, and I create what I call like a green room, and it sits over here on this side of me. So, and I prefer to ask someone specifically to come in, or somebody's relative. I'm not one to go, oh, here's a whole room full of people who have a message for you. I don't work that way. Some mediums do, but that's just not how it works for me. So we're sitting there, and I reach out, and I usually ask for a first name. On occasion, I might ask for an age. That just kind of helps me pinpoint the energy. So in my mind, I'm asking, hey, if you're here, would you like to come in and share some information and talk with us? And first thing he said was, I'm hearing in my head, you need to tell her I'm sorry for being a dick. And I'm like, I don't know if I can say that or not. And I'm like, I don't know if I can say that. So I just looked right at her and said, okay, don't take this the wrong way. No disrespect intended, but I really need to say this because this is the first thing that came out of your husband's mouth. And I said that, and she looked at me, she goes, oh my God, he's here. She goes, yes, he was. I'm like, really? I'm like, don't tell me anymore. She goes, that just validates that you're talking to the right person. Like, that apology makes perfect sense. That's exactly what I needed. And then all the tears come. And I always have tissue, so I can like, here you go. But if I am in a situation, I've had people ask about loved ones who have passed by suicide. People, who have had loved ones that have passed in very tragic circumstances. And if it tends to be something that's really sensitive, that you really wouldn't be comfortable talking about, at a fair where people are walking by. And, there's always the looky-loos, the people who are stopping and listening in, like, because they don't know if they want to get a reading, hard, but they want to hear who's at the table getting a reading. And I always offer a follow-up session, or like, hey, could, I really want to share more information with you today, but, can I take you aside and talk to you a little more privately where there aren't a lot of people around? Or, if we get to a point where they're like, you don't have to talk about that, but let's go ahead on with the reading, then sometimes will book a follow-up with me after the fair. So then they can have a private session, and I do those on Zoom, that kind of thing. So I can reach pretty much anybody, anywhere who is interested in having a reading. So that's really how I handle that, because there are some topics that are very sensitive that people just aren't prepared to hear or be emotionally prepared to deal with, because you're shitting on their day, basically, or, giving them, some things that stir up emotions and memories that then they're carrying with them the rest of their day. And they were there to have a really, a good, solid, fun time at the fair and meet some people and make connections and get different readings and things like that. So I don't ever want to ruin somebody's time and make them think like, well, shit, she told me that, I got to go home. I can't handle this. I'm breaking down, having a nervous breakdown. So I really don't want anything like that to happen. So sensitivity is really important, I think, and compassion as well.
I'm like, now it makes me want to know if anybody has stepped forward while we've been on this and saying, like, I'm sorry for being a dick to one of the three of us. Have you heard those words tonight?
I have not.
Okay, good. All right, good. We're clean then.
We're good.
Don't be asking her that kind of stuff. She's not doing readings tonight.
No, did I say to do a reading? I just wanted to know if she heard I'm sorry for being a dick. I've got a few people on the other side who would have said that. So I just thought maybe they would have been like, you know what? Go ahead and just pass that message along to Blake real quick.
Well, and you can always have me back for a repeat appearance and I can do some readings.
Oh, sure. There you go.
If you ever feel like that's something you guys want to do, I'll just throw it out there. And
Brian's ready now.
Oh shit.
Don't make her do that.
Okay, so do you have a question for me, Ryan, or a topic or something you really want to know?
Ryan wants answered.
What?
Oh God.
His love life.
Oh God.
Is he gonna have to
no, we
swipe
don't.
right?
So, Shelly, I think I'll let Ryan ask the question or the topic.
Oh yeah, Shelly.
I don't want to hear no more about it then, Ryan.
I didn't say nothing.
Oh Lord, this is gonna quickly get off the rails if we don't pull up. Oh no.
Sure, we'll go with that question. Yeah.
Go with that question. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just have you take a deep breath in.
Okay.
I'm just going to connect to you. Eyes open or closed, your choice. Doesn't matter. Just
okay. I'll close them.
Okay. I'm going to kind of shuffle off to the side here. I'm hanging out on my couch, so I don't have a table in front of me that I can, or the whole camera will just go crazy if I shuffle. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You can open your eyes anytime.
All right. Cool.
I won't make you sit there with your eyes closed.
I think you should, though. It might help you connect better
Just
with
meditate.
There you go. All right. So I'm just going to pull 3 cards for you.
Sure.
And then I'll also pull from my Oracle deck as well.
All right.
Oh, that's the
Just
quick
give
and
you the
dirty
whole
deck.
thing. So, and I like to combine. So what I do is if I'm doing what I call a full reading is I will use at least one tarot deck, sometimes more than one, just depends. And then I supplement that with a number of different Oracle decks. I have some that are mindfulness, manifestation, kind of fantasy, like dragons, fairies, things like that, just nature things. So anyway,
cool.
Another topic, another time. But anyway, so all right, let me see what I got for you here, Ryan. Okay. All right. Oh, sweet. I'll show you the card. Oh, like this is sweet. Okay.
Oh, I was going to say, hang on a minute. Was that like a good sweet?
No, you have a really. I want to say you have a really good card here, and more than one really good card. Okay, so I'm going to lead you off here with our Queen of Cups card.
Okay.
Let me bring that in there really quick. And I have the card reversed. So some people will read reverse cards as negative. I usually don't.
Okay.
When I'm looking at a card that's negative, it's telling me that either something is ending, moving out of your energy, or there's something that needs to be worked on. So we're looking at the elusive, where's this love, where's this love connection coming? These cards are not necessarily gender specific. I will say that. So they can be read as gender specific or gender neutral. So that doesn't necessarily mean, so we're going to go with just basic general concepts here. So this is like, okay, so where the heck is that person? Like, they're not here and I can't find them. And literally with this, looking at our next card, you have the Ace of Cups, which is new love. Okay. So I totally dig this card. This is also because cups are relationships. Look at that little heart right in the middle of that card right there. And I love the little magical swirly there too, like energy and light with that. So do not feel like there is nobody out there for you. It literally feels like this is just not the right time, if that makes sense to you. Like there's a lot more going on in your world. You don't have time for the care, the nurturing that a relationship needs and deserves. So I literally hear, don't beat yourself up because you don't have the time. And just allow yourself to work through and get through what you're doing right now. And allow yourself to be patient. I know that's kind of hard. Not It's easy to do with that. But we have, I love the energy of the Ammonite here. This is our Ace of Swords. So we're going to talk about setting your intention, because swords are the suit of how our brain works, how we think, how we process information, and communication. So if you feel like, you find somebody you really want to talk to and like nothing comes out, up here what you want to say, but nothing comes out. This is a time for you to focus on, okay, I don't have to be Shakespeare. I don't have to be the eloquent speaker. I just need to be plain old, I literally hear plain old goofy Ryan. I've only met you once inside today. So, didn't have that much interaction with you, but I'm hearing plain old goofy Ryan. So setting your intention. So when you feel like you're ready to bring that person in, I think manifesting is so powerful when you write it down. Take the time to write down, universe, I am so thankful for the relationship partner that is coming into my life. You could say today, if you want to speed that process up.
All right.
And then list about 5 words, adjectives that describe how you feel when you've met that relationship partner. Are you in love? Are you excited? Are you dreamy? Whatever it might be. And feel those things. How do you feel when you write each of those words down and see that? And it might not necessarily be physical characteristics, but you can feel the energy of that person. Visualize that. What do you see? What do you feel? Because that's the key to manifesting it. And then after you jot that down, write thank you, thank you, thank you, sign it, and put that day's date on it. Then here's your homework in this. Every day, twice a day, at least a minimum of 2 weeks, you need to read that piece of paper and think it and feel it and visualize it. So I say morning before you start your day, evening, right before you go to bed, that kind of thing. So, and you'd be surprised at how fast things happen and how fast synchronicities occur, and how fast that person comes in. And I'm going to tell you this, before I show you the next card. This is from the Beloved Dead card. So yes, you work in the paranormal field, and that is really, I am hearing that is where you're going to connect with that next person that is important in your life and for you. And you want to know what the card is that I got?
Sure.
I mean, no coincidences in Kris's world here. That's the Witch card. There it is, the bottom of the card, Witch. So I love that little pointy hat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of wild. So this is a direct message from your spirit team, your ancestors, saying this is related to the field that you work in. That is where you're going to find this next person who is going to be really important to you. And I will tell you, I really kind of suck at timelines. So I'm not one to be really good about saying, hey, in 6 months or 9 months. But if you feel like that you are ready in a place in your world that you want to kind of speed that process up a little bit, you feel like you've tied up some loose ends with other things, then write that down and try that exercise. And if you can't remember it, reach out and I'll shoot you all the information. Email it to you. So
That's
you
okay. I took notes. Write down 5 or 6 characteristics.
Shelly's got you covered.
And put thank you on it. Be grateful for it. Read it twice a day. Once before you go to bed. Once before once when you get up in the morning. And do it for at least 2 weeks. I got you. Would you like to go start making your notes now?
now wait, Shelly. He's got some things he needs to work through. He's got some things he needs to tie up first and allow himself to have the energy to be able to then move into this next leg of this journey.
I don't know, Ryan. I mean, you asked the same thing, and I got the collapsing tower of the devil and death. So, I mean, there you go, buddy.
Oh, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're going to be surprised. But here's the thing. So Blake, if you really did pull those cards, Blake, seriously,
he didn't.
I'm going to say
I fished for them.
They show up for a reason. There's a reason you fished for those, because the Tower card is the card of surprises. Like when you least expect it, you will be surprised that this is emotion for you. We're looking at the Devil card. It's the card of attachments. So think about the things that you're attached to, the things that you feel like that you have been needing to release and let go. We call it emotional baggage. I love the dude on TikTok, emotional baggage. That guy. I always hear that in my head when I get like emotional baggage. So the things that you need to look at releasing and letting go, it's also called shadow work, and allow yourself to give those things to the universe, allow yourself to be done with them if they don't serve a purpose for you anymore. And what was our third card, Blake, that we had?
Was the death
back
card.
of the card.
The back of the card.
And then the death card is the change card. So looking forward to a change. So it's closing one door, opening another door. So if you're willing, and I think that the devil card, the attachment card, really connects to me saying that you have some loose ends that you need to tie up and some things that you really need to work through first before you're ready energetically emotionally as well, for that person to come into your life. So there you go.
Ryan, I was helping you and getting deeper to a deeper emotional level.
Ryan, wasn't that a good reading? You're welcome.
Yes, I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And hold on. Let me say before you go any further, I will tell you, if none of that works out, you've got about 8 dates in the comments right now. Yes, there are. I'm like, hold on, wait, listen. Yes, they're all men, but you know what?
It's fine.
Sorry.
But soulmates can be any gender and can be in our life at any time. And they might be there, for a specific person. There might be somebody who's there to commiserate and to help get you through this. You never know.
So quick question. Do I need to write it down twice a day or just read it twice a day?
Once you've written it down, that's okay. Just read it.
Okay,
and
just read it twice a day.
And visualize it. 3 things: read, feel, visualize. Yes.
Brian's making sure he understands the instructions.
Absolutely. He's going to understand the assignment. Absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. She is a teacher. She's giving me homework. So
see.
Yeah, I tend to do that. I don't know what it is.
I was prepared and you were not.
Fantastic. So we just got to keep that. We just got to keep that little eye out while we're traveling around, because apparently it's going to be in this field, my man. And I will tell you what, you got some excellent wingmen, and women.
I can come up wingman. I identify with that because I don't care. Guys, girls, I'll talk to all of them. It don't make me any difference.
We got you, man. We realize that words are hard and you get nervous and shy, but we got you, brother.
I got more kids' phone numbers at the last Paracon than you did.
Well.
Inside joke, Kris.
Yeah, you guys get it. That's okay that I don't.
Yeah, it's okay.
Not my information, not for me to know.
It's fine. Patreon
and now she's sitting here after she gets off here. She's like, and I'm going to forget everything about this episode.
And I'm setting my boundary. I'm blocking it out.
I can go back and rewatch it, which is great. Proof that it actually happened.
Exactly. You were legitimately here.
All right.
Yes.
When that happens, I will reach out to you and thank you personally. So.
Wow, perfect. That is awesome. Yes.
You're probably going to run into her.
Oh, more than likely. More than likely.
Yes, because I'm sure you're going to do more Paracons in Missouri, and we are too next year. So we'll try to sit a little farther away from you so we aren't over there cutting up acting stupid when you're trying to go reading.
No, I loved having you guys as neighbors across the aisle. So if you get to pick, you say, hey, I want to be across from that Readings with Kris lady.
Yes, absolutely.
I think when I walked up to meet you, I said, hey, we're your neighbors. If we get too loud, just holler over the fence and tell us to shut up. It's like,
you did.
We understand we're loud, but we're having more fun than anybody else.
But that's okay. That's okay. You guys were amazing. Great energy. And I think that helps too, because we had a lot of traffic up and down our aisle because you guys had great energy. So I think that's important.
Oh,
well, thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. Oh. Well, gentlemen, we're running out of time. I wanted to ask about angelic healing. I'm going to ask one more question.
Oh,
go for it. Yeah,
that's fine.
I want to know a little bit more about angelic healing. What exactly does that entail? Because you said you were almost done with that's something you're learning and you're expanding your knowledge on. Can you tell me what that is? Because that's very interesting. Because I'm referred to as Satan's mistress, so I might need a little help.
Well, I can hook you up.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yes.
I'm like, wait a minute. Did that devil card have Shelley's name on it somewhere? I didn't see it. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. So the angelic healing practitioner course, I just finished it over the weekend, level 1. It entails calling in the 4 Watchtower guardian angels in order to facilitate healing. So it's working with guardian angels Uriel, Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel. And they're all connected to the golden ray of light. So each archangel is connected with specific angelic crystals, colors of healing light, other properties as well. So in the process of this, really learning about the 9, I want to call them choirs of angels. And then this class just focused specifically on those 4 guardian Watchtower archangels. So calling them in and asking them for assistance, asking them for help. Also in the process, there was a meditation where you get to connect with 1 or more of your guardian angels. And walking in the door, I already knew Michael was one of my guardian angels. And when I did the meditation, he's the one that came through. And the most interesting thing with that is when he showed up in the meditation, he was huge, just astronomically huge. But then he shrank down to human size for me, which I thought was really interesting. So, huge and intimidating. And his color is blue. And he literally came in like glowing all blue and blue armor. And then when he shrank down into human size, the perception I had of him was he was dressed in blue, like a blue suit, which is kind of cool, really neat. Cool. But then we had opportunities just to ask questions of him and ask for any guidance or things like that. So really amazing. So after completing this level 1 class, then now I'm able to work with the 4 guardian angels to help facilitate healing, not only of myself, but also for other people. So it's really amazing. And there are 2 more levels. So I'm looking forward to taking the other 2 levels in the future. And it was really rewarding. And it's similar to, if you've heard of like Reiki energy, working with that healing, similar concept where you're calling in healing from the guardian angels and from the universe, and then allowing that to, and while you are sitting with that client who is in the process of going through that healing situation, you're also receiving messages for them. So there's always a consult before, and then also kind of a debrief after, where you share any images or words or phrases or things that came through from the guardian angel team that is meant for them. And they may see images or colors or have experiences while they're just resting quietly and comfortably while this process is happening.
So it involves the laying of hands, or no?
Nope.
It's
nope.
something
Literally
you
can be done
remotely?
distantly. So it's healing that can be shared with a location, a building, a place, as well as a person, animals. It could be the environment, the world. I mean, it's global. It's universal. So writing a person's name down literally and using that as the focus is just as powerful as having them sitting in the room with you at the time that you do it. So you can visualize them. You can write their name down on a piece of paper, or you can work with them in person. So it works regardless of where you might be or where they might be.
So when you see these angels, do you see them as like these beings that look more like the Renaissance paintings of like angels, or do you see like a different like form altogether?
So they appear to everybody differently, and they appear in a form that we're comfortable with.
Okay.
So for me, I sense more of the energy and maybe the color that they're connected with. Or I've had a lot of people sit with me in just before I even did this course. And they ask like, well, who's my guardian angel? And I'll see this bright gold show up, and it's Metatron, who is actually in charge of those 4 Watchtower guardian angels. He sits over them and directs them. So it's fascinating how I'll perceive the energy. I'll get a name, or I'll see a color. So it could be different for everybody. Yeah.
Interesting.
I find it
awesome.
really interesting because in my reading you had said something about Michael as well, and whenever I call upon him, I guess, with like stuff that we're doing for protection and things like that, or when things get real hairy, you know, at a location or whatnot. Like I also see a lot of blue. So I find that interesting. That's pretty cool. I don't like anytime I'm, you know, doing an invocation to him or calling upon him to help or anything like that, I just imagine this swirl of blue happening. So
and it's interesting.
Never really heard anybody else say that. That's cool.
It's interesting you say that too, because when we were at Metacon, the first time I ever gotten I got my Reiki done at not Metacon, but SpiritCon.
Yeah.
I got my Reiki done, and when I was under during my Reiki, I kept I was looking up and I kept seeing like blue and purples as I was underneath. So that's
wild,
interesting,
you guys. So I'm in trouble because all I see is fire and gold, and all I can see is like this bright, like fiery gold color, like literally. Yeah, I'm in
like
trouble.
That. Like that.
I get very bright royal purples and bright golds whenever I'm picturing, because I'm a fire sign. I always picture if something's in my path, I'm gonna burn it down, get it away, burn it away. So I'm in trouble, huh? I'm seeing fire.
Not at all. Not at all. It's burning a path for you. Burning a path for you.
Was that T-shirt say that you got? That's it. You burn sage and bridges as needed.
Yes.
That's why you're a fire sign, Shelley.
Well, gentlemen, we have kept Kris at her time. Does anyone else have any other questions? Did we have anybody in the comments that had questions? We told her we would let her ask question, then we kind of
everybody has just been commenting on things that we've been talking about. Nobody's really throwing up a question so much. I do have one I'll touch on that came through earlier when we talked about the manifesting with Ryan's love lady that's coming. Can that exercise work for different areas of people's life, like for work, for I don't know if they want to do it for money. I don't know if you can really do it for money, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, can it be a selfish reason?
Yeah.
Does it work when it's selfish?
Absolutely works for anything that you want to bring in. I always say I don't recommend it if I haven't tried it or I haven't done it. I figure if I haven't done it, I don't know if I'm going to recommend it because it may backfire. Who knows? Right. Is it going to work? Right. So I use that process a lot. I have used it for bringing in a little extra money. Like I wanted to do something and I had my budget set aside and like, oh, that's not going to fit my budget. So universe, I'm so grateful for the $300 I received today. And then I list how I feel. I'm like, I see myself with that $300. I'm counting it out and I can smell that money. I can see it. I'm holding it, you know, and I mean, yeah, I'm making it rain, you know, I've got that money and I visualize myself doing what it is that I want to do with that money, like whatever I want to spend it on. And then, you know, I write, thank you, sign it and date it. Now, something I like to do, especially if I'm trying to bring some money in, is on that piece of paper, I'll sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon, just a little tiny sprinkle, because cinnamon is working with abundance and prosperity, bringing it in. And when I fold the paper, I fold it toward me. I don't fold it away from me because I want to bring the energy to me, which Ryan used to do that. If you decide to fold this piece of paper in half to set it someplace, fold it toward you to bring that person toward you. But it can be used for a new car. I actually did it for the place that I live now. I knew I was going to have to move because the rent was going sky high. And like that is out of my budget. I got my pension now. I feel like an old person. I got my pension. And, you know, higher rent was not in that budget. And so I literally listed exactly what I wanted. How many bedrooms? I wanted no stairs. I really wanted a garage, some storage. And, you know, I had it all listed down. And I tell you, even my budget range, and I got a place randomly. I heard that voice say, you need to call this person. I'm like, I heard that. I'm going to call right now. And I called the lady and she's like, oh, well, I'm glad you called because I just had something that's coming open. And this was probably on a Friday afternoon-ish. She said, well, I get the keys at 4:00 on Monday. Do you want to come look at it at 5:00 on Monday? And she goes, I think it'd be great. You know, I think it'd be perfect. And I said, well, sure. Yeah. Heck yeah. I'll go take a look at it. It had everything except a garage. And it was the bottom number of my budget range.
Oh, wow.
And I had done exactly what I explained to you to do, Ryan, was I wrote out, I am grateful for, and I listed, new place to live by. March 1st was my deadline, and I had it by the middle of February. So even 2 weeks before my deadline.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I know. Yeah, it's great. And literally it had everything. The only thing it didn't have was a garage. Well, I'm a princess. I just want a garage. I don't like snow. I don't know why I live in Missouri. I don't like snow in the wintertime. But, I'm like, well, if I have to go out, I could scrape my car, but I'm used to having snow days called if the weather's bad enough. So I didn't go anyway. So why would I go now unless there's an emergency,
Right.
But anyway, so it does work. So yeah, people are asking, it could be for anything. Bring in people, maybe you want to go on a vacation, you bring that dream vacation in, or you need a new vehicle, all kinds of things that you can use it for. But the key really is to see it and to visualize it and feel it and make it consistent. Give yourself at least 2 weeks. Look at it twice a day.
Brian's going to be running for cinnamon. Does he have to put cinnamon in his love letter?
You can if you want to. I mean, it just helps, but you don't have to. There's
running
pretty fast rule on that.
Hold on.
No. She said cinnamon. You work. So as she was saying, you work with the cinnamon for the abundance portion to bring in the prosperity. Like at the bit when I do a lot of ritual.
Lots of bitches.
like I do a lot of ritual type stuff normally centered around like a new moon, or full moon or something along that lines. That's just the more elemental side of my spirituality. I use cinnamon. I'll blow cinnamon into my door, like from the outside into the door. So it's bringing in the prosperity, bringing in the abundance into the household.
On the first of every month or on the night of the new moon, you can do that. Yeah. Yep. And also some coarse salt for protection and to clear the negative energy. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep. I do all that stuff. Just ask me about the cinnamon after the show, Ryan.
I mean, you probably make cinnamon toast every once in a while, right? So you have some cinnamon in your pantry. Just shake a little bit on your piece of paper.
All right.
It works.
Okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any cinnamon. He's going to the store after this.
Dollar Tree. Here's a tip. Dollar Tree, $1.25 for a nice sized jar of cinnamon.
Nice.
Why pay $4 at the grocery store?
Wait a minute.
You can get it
Is
at Dollar
the
Tree.
fancier the cinnamon, the better the reward? Because if so, Brian's going to be going to that, Whole Food business.
No, girl.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Price does not matter.
It could.
Get that cheapo stuff if you're just going to be pouring it everywhere.
That's
right.
Got all her parts and everything,
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
It's not going to be a zombie or anything like that.
No, I mean, I didn't know if
her ear's not going to be falling off.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like
I say, you got the Dollar Tree cinnamon, so she's got a peg leg.
I didn't know if that made a difference or not.
And snaggletooth.
I'm looking out for you.
Oh Jesus! Oh my God!
The quality of the cinnamon matters.
Oh my God!
Universe should have gotten better cinnamon.
Yeah, exactly.
Just look what you got now.
Exactly.
You can't send it back.
That's why I asked.
Oh man,
see, that's the loophole that would get in my ass.
Ryan's gonna be, how like you carry Splenda around in your purse, Shelly. Now Ryan's gonna have a pocket full of cinnamon just everywhere.
Maybe walking. Every time he goes in somewhere.
God.
Walking past the girl.
Oh Lord.
You guys.
On that note,
I carry cinnamon because I'm already sweet as sugar. So.
God,
he dodges the raindrops because he'll melt.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God. On that note.
Yes.
On that note.
Kris, would you like to tell them everything they need to know about you?
Absolutely. So you can find me mainly on Facebook under Readings with Kris. Kris with a K. That's important. Kris Baughman. My name's right there on the screen. I also have that personal profile. But if you really want to follow my business side, do the Readings with Kris. If you want to find me on TikTok or Instagram, which I don't use as much as I should, I'm going to put it out there. But it's the same thing, Readings with Kris. You can find me that way as well. If you are local to the Kansas City region, this Friday, I'm going to be at the Square Soiree on the Independence Square in Independence, Missouri. And cool thing, this is a night market, so it's 21 plus, and there'll be drinks, music, experiences, and shopping. And the coolest thing ever is the square is decorated for Christmas right now because Hallmark Channel is filming a Chief's love story, a Hallmark Christmas movie on the square through the month of July. So if you're there, you may actually see a glimpse of filming somewhere on the square. So everything, our theme is Christmas in July because the square is decorated because the movie is being filmed. So that's where I'm going to be on this Friday. And then the 27th, I'm going to be at the Harry Potter pop-up at Karma Community Market in Blue Springs, Missouri. You can find it on Facebook. I'm going to be doing mini readings with that. And then my next metaphysical fair is going to be in Fayetteville, Arkansas, the 21st, 22nd of August. And that is the Enchanted Metaphysical and Mystics Market. So you can find it all on social media with there. But I have lots of shows booked between now and December. And looking for things, I'm going to throw it out there. I am looking for events and things to book for the month of October. Right now, usually my October is full. And right now I have one little thing in October. And October is my favorite month. Love Halloween. My birthday is close to Halloween. So it's like, the thing. I love October. So anyway, throwing it out there. You guys could reach out to me on Facebook Messenger or social media and hit me up if you know something. Or if you're like, hey, I'm booking groups, individual sessions, and events.
Are you available for a private booking? Because if somebody wanted to throw a kick-ass Halloween party, are you available to be booked to come in and do readings for their guests?
I will do that.
Halloween idea ever, people.
Yes. So in local area, I will do that. If it's something that can be worked out over like Zoom, I can totally do it that way. I do not need to be with you in person. I'll throw my phone number out there because it's on social media and on my business cards. It is 816-517-1103. You can always text me or call me and inquire. 816-517-1103. Or you can always Facebook message me as well.
All right.
That's how you get me. Yeah. Readings with Kris. Yes, with a K. And so I'm doing intuitive tarot and oracle, angels and ancestors mediumship readings in private sessions, as well as I do groups and shows, events, cons, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect. Well,
and
thank you.
I will sign off again on Kris. Got my personal reading by her. It was absolutely phenomenal. Wonderful insight. Spot on. I walked away with some very interesting knowledge that I didn't know I needed. So
and now you have it.
That's I'm placing my stamp of approval on Kris. That's why she's on here.
Awesome sauce. Yay.
And with that, Blake, why don't you tell them everything they need to know?
Absolutely. Well, Kris, hang with us. We got a little bit of housekeeping we're going to take care of real quick. We just got a few announcements that we want to make. Remember that After Dark with DVP season 1 and 2 are all out on Paraflix Paranormal Plus. That is 16 episodes of other special guest interviews and haunted locations with never before seen paranormal evidence that you have not seen on here. So you can use our code AfterDark25 for 25% off your annual subscription. We are going to post that via our link tree to our Facebook tomorrow morning. That link tree is also going to have our public investigations as well as our Patreon page. Our Patreon page is just $5 a month. You gain access to close to 400. I keep changing the number every week. 400 Patreon exclusive videos. That includes the pre and post broadcast, which is the 30 minutes before and the 30 minutes after this live broadcast, where we act so damn stupid. It's ridiculous.
Don't let that deter you.
Sorry. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, so all the laughter and crap you've seen on here, it's tenfold on Patreon. So, don't forget, we offer that 7-day free trial for our Patreon page as well, so you can check it out prior to purchasing. We do have public investigation tickets on sale right now, and a little bit of behind-the-scene information. We are about to put another one on the event calendar, so go subscribe to our Eventbrite page. That location is going to sell out so quick. I promise you. Make sure you follow us on all social media channels. Search everything Vaguely Paranormal and look for that green sound wave. And remember, to you audio listeners, you can watch us live if you want the video versions on Facebook, YouTube, and X each and every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. These are all the ways you can directly support everything Vaguely Paranormal, but we also appreciate your love and support for That part. Through
Try
like,
again.
shares, comments, downloads,
That's
all
right.
that shit. And remember, as always, any stories or comments or anything you want to send to us, those can be submitted to us at the edppod@gmail.com. That's THEEDPPOD@gmail.com.
Like, share, and go and subscribe to that YouTube and Facebook page.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, we thank y'all so much for watching another weekly episode of Everything Vaguely Paranormal. I want to thank our very special guest, Miss Kris Baughman. You have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on with us tonight. We appreciate it so much. As for myself, I am Blake Smith. My partner's in the paranormal, Miss Shelley Pruitt, Mr. Ryan Roberts. And as always, y'all, we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.